We'll see you again on Inside OC. Okay, so now if you can just stay for a couple minutes. You've done this before, right? The open
Yeah, well,
mic.
we
So
pretend to enjoy
what
each other's
didn't we get
company.
to that you would like to discuss?
So how do we do it? Do you ask a question and I answer the question, or you want me just to
just
monologue?
go ahead. Yeah,
Just
we're just chit-chatting now. Chit-chatting. I
well,
mean, is
you
there
know-
anything or any comment you want to make about what we discussed?
So, well, one of the things I get asked a lot when I'm out in the community is about local news, and we touched on it, but I don't know that we engaged it deeply. Local news is really our bread and butter. It's the core of what we do, and it's very, very important. It's also the one aspect that nobody else does, right? So there isn't anybody else who covers Orange County to the degree that the Orange County Register covers Orange County, and it's something that I think the audience rightly expects from the Register, and something that we want to continue. Very, very important.
Yeah.
Our tagline for the Southern California News Group is "Local News Matters," because it really, really does matter. It's kind of, in my opinion, the underpinnings of our democracy.
I couldn't agree with you more. It is what makes, if there's anything that's going to save newspapers, it's that local content that you can't get anywhere else. The question is, how do you protect it? Or do you put a firewall up? Or what do you do to monetize it? Now, the Register has a firewall of sorts.
It had, and
Oh, did you guys get?
no. It had, and now it has a different one. The meter's set quite high, and we're still experimenting on what the right methodology is for. At risk of sounding a little techie or businessy, is how to monetize that audience, right? And there's one strategy that says you should have a paywall. I think a
Just
paywall,
so people know,
a paywall,
when
which
I
is a
say
firewall,
paywall, so the viewers know,
you got to pay to
when
read
we
a
say
story.
firewall or paywall, that means you got to pay if you want to read it. If you try to get on the site, it won't let you on.
Yeah, that's a tough model, right? Especially
We
for,
have it at the Orange County Business Journal. We've been quite successful with it.
Yeah, well, and I think that if you have a niche, it's a little bit easier, but when you're a general news source and a community news source, it's a little bit more difficult to do that. So we have throughout our company, and Digital First Media has 67 dailies across the country. We have a number of different initiatives where we're beta testing different methodologies for how we should track audience and how we should develop revenue streams from audience. So it's unclear at this point whether a firewall or paywall is going to be the ultimate solution, or whether it's going to be some other form of registration or membership, or maybe just free sites. So when you ask whether there's a paywall, yes, there is a paywall, but the meter is set high because that is not the definitive strategy that we've decided to pursue at this point.
Having you as a guest, Frank, and seeing you in a community meeting where you were on stage talking, I'm impressed. You seem to have more of a feel for readership and circulation and things like that than a typical news guy like me, who just is interested in the stories and that. Is that your background, or?
So I have been an editorial for 20 years with a couple of brief digressions. I spent a couple years as editor and general manager of some of our properties. So in those 2 years, I got a really good sense of the rest of the business, both the advertising and
So
the
you were on the dark
business.
side. You were general manager. You
I
know
had
the dark
one foot
side.
in the light and one foot in the dark at that time, right? Because I never let go of that editor title. The newsroom really is my favorite place to be. There's nothing like it in the world, right? So I have that experience, and then I also served for a while as director of audience development for our parent company. And in that role,
Audience development.
yes, in that role, I had a hand in developing the larger corporate audience strategy, getting the 5-year strategic planning off the ground with some special research projects and some content analysis that we did. That we're still working on. That's an evolving process, right? That involves quite a bit of research and then ongoing surveys of our readership to determine what types of stories, content, news coverage really works, and what
dancing
forms
cats
of stories.
work. I mean, dancing cats or what?
Well, and it's important to realize that if it was just page views that we're after, well, you know how to get page views, right? Dancing cats or naked people get you all the page views that you'd want, but that's not what we do, right? We do local news. And so the audience that we want is an audience that is engaged and local, right? So it's a very specific kind of active local audience.
And that was one of the things when I mentioned earlier on the show that I've learned some things from Frank already. And one of the things is the quality of audience matters. So when he was challenging me to increase our digital performance in terms of readership to the opinion pages across the system, he was like, and we want readers online within our demographic areas. So the quality of the reader matters as well. So that's one of the.
Could you do full body shots of your columnist?
I don't think you want that.
I want to attract readers, not scare them away.
So finally, something I didn't ask you about, Brian, as far as the approach. Right now, you're a team of opinion writers,
yes.
The op-ed people, if you will. Gloria Romero, if she's still...
No, she's no longer an opinion writer for us yet.
Okay, over the aforementioned the charter school candidate thing. Okay.
I didn't say that.
But
you said that.
I just said that. Green Hut, certainly. Joel Kotkin. I mean, and Joel would be petrified if he thought somebody was calling him a libertarian. But the point is, their viewpoints, they have... they're on that side. They're on the libertarian side. Are you going to be bringing in, and Tom Campbell's over there, would you be bringing in some people now who maybe are more on the Loretta Sanchez side?
I mean, we've had Erwin Chemerinsky when
That's
I took
true.
over
Good
the opinion
point.
pages for
Good
4 years,
point.
I brought
Yes,
in Erwin
you're right.
Chemerinsky.
All right. Okay.
And I'll tell you that Erwin on civil liberties issues is as libertarian
You're
as you
right.
can possibly
There
get.
you go.
On other issues, he's not.
There
He
you
would
go.
be a self-professed
So would
progressive.
that be something that you got to have something for you in order to be a regular columnist? You've had Jennifer Muir
Jennifer
write
Muir,
things,
head of the
but-
OCEA. She writes a weekly column for
Jennifer's
us as well.
over here.
Doctrinaire progressive and the head of a union. My attitude is this, like if you're going to come at things from whatever perspective, whether it's left or right, that you have to pay attention to what the other side is saying. I term it perspective segregation, where, if you're right-leaning, you watch Fox News and you read the Wall Street Journal. If you're left-leaning, you maybe read the New York Times and you watch MSNBC. And never do the two sides ever meet. And so my idea was, if we're really going to write informed opinions about the issues, I need to, especially myself, understand the best arguments of the left and the best arguments of the right. And I think that there's no one better, particularly on progressive issues, than Erwin Chemerinsky. I get a fundamental understanding of the philosophy. And I would say similar approach Steve Greenhut with libertarian philosophy. And then some of our Carl Cannon gives us the DC view. I think having a diversity of perspective helps inform what our paper's position should be system-wide.
Well, great. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. We could have done 2 shows. I wish we had the time to do it, but thanks much. And I will more than likely ask you back, but next time bring Hassie with you, okay?
All right.
I want the top
And I can
dog
sleep in,
guy
man. I
too.
can
But
sleep
anyway, yeah, you can sleep in. Or we'll have all 3 of you. Anyway,
Sounds good.
thanks very much.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.